Thank you for signing up for LoadTrek Timeline. Timeline allows you to quickly create loads and routes for drivers. Dispatch these loads to drivers and they can accept their dispatch via Android tablets running the LoadTrek Android app. You can watch your route plan being executed in real time and you can respond to exceptions and deviations as needed. So today, you've already signed up for LoadTrek Timeline. We're going to show you how to set up drivers, locations, and geofences. So here's how it works. First, if you haven't done so already, you can sign up for the service at signup.loadtrek.net. And you can access LoadTrek via your own private web page, web.loadtrek.net. Then we'll create drivers, locations, and geofences. So it looks like this. Go to web.loadtrek.net. Make sure you bookmark this page because you won't find it by searching. Enter your company name, your username, your password, and log in. And now that we're in your own LoadTrek portal, click on the Setup button over here on the left. And let's get started. First, we're going to add drivers. Over on the left, click on the Drivers tab and select New Driver. The driver ID is that number with which the driver will sign into their tablet. Usually it's an employee number, could be the last four of a social security number, anything that the driver can remember. Driver ID is mandatory, as is first name and last name, as well as passcode. The passcode, again, can be any number you like. Many companies choose to just make it the same as a driver ID. And then the last required field is the CDL or driver's license number. The other fields are helpful, but they're not mandatory. So when you're done, click Save, and you have created your new driver. If you ever need to make changes to the driver, you can select the driver and select Edit, or you can do the same thing by just double-clicking the driver. Make any changes you need to. And save those changes. If the driver's status with you changes, you can change their status by making them inactive, which is typically done for short-term absences. Terminated means the driver has left your employ. And when you're at the point where you no longer need that driver's history, you can simply select and delete that driver. So that's setting up drivers. Next, let's look at setting up locations. So in Setup, so we've clicked Setup, which opens up our new tab. And we're going to go down here to the Locations tab and select New Location. Give it a name and give it a helpful name that you can search for and find. Address, city, and state. And then hit the geocode button. And let's make sure that that is where it needs to be. And there's Abrams Street, there's the ballpark. There's AT&T Stadium. That's exactly where we need it to be. So that is the correct latitude and longitude. And if you would like, you can shrink the radius down to something a little tighter, a little more meaningful. And there we are. So the mandatory fields are name, address, and accurate geocode. You can adjust the radius if you'd like. The other fields are helpful, but they're not necessary if you need to put in telephone numbers, email addresses, contact names, or directions. These directions that you assign to this location will be served up to the driver every time you create a route that includes this location. And when you're done, hit save. Now, there are occasions where we may choose to set up a geofence. So let's look at this location again. So this BTL warehouse automatically has a geofence. It's a radius that goes around the pinpoint that has been identified as the address. But if you have several stops that are very tightly together, in fact, let's look at this real quick. Let's zoom in and let's change our map view to satellite view. And as you can see, there are several buildings in here. In fact, there's 3 buildings here, another building here, and another building over here that are all included in my circle. So if a driver is going to make a stop at any of these other buildings for any reason, they will show up as being at this location. You may need to further refine your geocode to make it much more precise. And here's how we do it. Again, we're in Setup, so you Setup, which opens up the new tab, and go up to the Geofences tab. And we're going to create a new geofence. Give it a name. And let's assign it to a location. And we're going to assign this geofence to this location. And you'll notice how it plants the flag. And I'm going to use the scroll wheel on my mouse. I could also use these operators here. And make sure that's where I want it. And yes, that is our warehouse. So that is perfect. I don't need to fill in the address, city, and state if I don't want to. It's optional. It's not necessary. So let's create our geofence. And in order to do this accurately, I'm going to switch over to satellite view so I can see the buildings. And our warehouse is actually this building right here. So to create the boundaries for the geofence, I click here and here to make my north fence, my east fence, and complete the geofence just like that. But let's say I messed it up. Let's say that I didn't make this accurate. I can go in here and I can drag this around if I want. Or if I just want to start over, I clear and I just start all over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to include the building, but I also want to include this area in front of the warehouse and this area beside the warehouse that does not include that building. Just like that. So there is my new accurate geofence. Now from here, I can impose some further restrictions. I can warn on entry or warn on exit. This gives a visual and audible cue to the driver when they enter and exit this geofence. It's entirely up to you. If the driver needs to know that they're there, if this is a route stop, it's very helpful to let the driver know that they're there. You can also set up as an inclusion zone, an exclusion zone, which means I either do want the driver there or don't want the driver there. We'll leave those alone for now, or off-road. Off-road would be when you have a large expanse of off-road, like in the construction and oil field industries, where any fuel burned while the vehicle is being operated out there is not taxable. But for now, we're going to leave this alone. So we've called it BTL Warehouse. It's assigned to the location BTL Warehouse. It looks good to me. Let's give it a speed limit so that we're not speeding out on the yard of 15 miles an hour, and let's hit save. But geofences can have other uses as well. Geofences can be used to warn you and the driver to avoid certain areas. Geofences can be used to automatically trigger events. So let's create a new geofence. I'm going to call this low clearance warehouse. Here's a situation. Yes, we we have already created a geofence for this warehouse, but on one particular street there's low power lines, and I do not want my vehicles going on that street to get to this warehouse. So I'm going to type in an address, and I'm not going to link this geofence to a location because it really has no significance as far as the routing is concerned. It has significance for safety. So I hit go to, and it snapped my map in not quite as far as I want. So I'm going to use my scroll wheel on my mouse to zoom in a little tighter. I can also use these buttons here. So there's Abrams Street. There's Stadium Drive. And if you'll remember, let me go ahead and turn on my satellite view. My warehouse is right here, but this street is the one I want trucks going down. This street I do not want trucks going down. There's low power lines. So I'm going to warn on entry, and I'm going to call this an exclusion zone. So this lets the driver know about this geofence, and what it will say is exactly what the name is. The device will speak to the driver, will talk to the driver, and give a visual cue, and it will say low clearance warehouse. So I'm going to draw my geofence right here on Browning Street. I don't want to include Abram because I got trucks going up and down Abram, and I don't want trucks anywhere on this area of Browning. And I'm going to impose a very low speed limit just in case the driver makes a mistake. That's 2 warnings. 1 warning is that you've entered. 2 warnings is that if you exceed 5 miles an hour, you're going too fast. And then lastly, because I've called this an exclusion zone, there's reports that the office, the administrators can run to show every time this geofence has been violated. And I'm going to save it. So we've talked about setting up drivers, setting up locations, and setting up geofences. If you have any questions, please contact us on the web, LoadTrek.net. Call us at any time, 877-226-0107, or email us, support@LoadTrek.net. Thank you.